Destiny 2's new raid, the Desert Perpetual, is here, and today we're not going to waste any time. I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to do to beat it. Once loaded in, jump down the platform and follow the yellow walkway to the center island. This will be the main hub for all encounters in the raid. Once you get to the middle platform, there will be a bunch of ads there. You can kill all the ads if you want, but the main important ads you need to kill are the Hydras. You'll see those right there. There's 3 Hydras in the middle. Kill all 3 Hydras, and then ascend the purple looking pillar that is behind us. Now this is where we will pick what encounter we do first. Desert Perpetual is a non-linear raid, so you can do the first 3 encounters in any order that you choose to. Now this snapshot I'm turned around from the final one that looks into the center of the island, just to show what side is what encounter for you. On the left of where I'm currently looking, if you activate that plate, you will go to the Wyvern boss. If you go straight ahead from where I'm looking, that will be the Hobgoblin boss. And finally, if you look at the right from where I am looking, then you will go to the Hydra. Like I said, you can choose any of these in any order that you choose to, but for now, I'm going to talk about the Hydra first. And because I'm picking the Hydra, I'm going to run to the right plate relative to my orientation now. Once you interact with the plate, the balls that normally circle the plate will form a straight line. They point to a tower off into the distance. This is where you're going to need to complete a jumping puzzle to get to the encounter. Like before, when getting to the center island, there will be a yellow path that you will follow. Complete the jumping puzzle, and once you get to the tower, interact with the door. Important to note, you can only interact with the door if you activated that encounter at the start. Once at the encounter, split your team in half. 3 will go left, 3 will go right. At the start, you're just killing ads, so just kill ads just like any other encounter at the start. After a certain amount of time passes, you'll get a message that says Magistrates bring forth their judgment. The Magistrates are the Cyclopses. Kill them. Once killed, 1 plate on the left side and 1 plate on the right side will activate. This is where we will split our team further. We will have 3 teams of 2. 2 people will grab the buff, called Constant Temporality, and run into their rooms on either side. The next team of 2 will run in the rooms with the people with the buff, and help kill the harpies in their rooms. They will also be stopping a wipe mechanic later on. I'll get to that in a second. The final team will be outside killing ads, making sure it's clear for everybody, so that when you run back outside, you don't die. I will label the 3 teams as such: Eyes, Balls, and Ad Clear. I'll explain what balls mean in a little bit, but first let's focus on the Eyes team. When both Magistrates are killed, you'll see a message that says Chrono Energy Ready. This means that the plates on the left and right side are activated. You'll know this too by the wireframe shape that will be above it. In order to get the buff, the player assigned to Eyes team on the left and right side need to step on the plates simultaneously. After stepping on the plates, the Chrono Energy will distribute to both players standing on the plates. As you can see at the top of the screen now, I have a countdown timer that says Constant Temporality. This is the buff that will allow me to see and shoot the eyes on the Hydra's shield within each room. As you can see right now, this is the left room. While I don't have any personal experience with the right room, I do have a clip here to show you what it looks like. As you see, you can run in, and then there's a big pillar in the middle with the eyes on it, on both sides. There's also a giant pit in the middle, so be careful when maneuvering around this room. The 2 people chosen for this task must communicate with each other. At the pillar on top of the boss, there will be a hexagon with 6 eyes. 1 of them will be lit up at a time. I need to tell the player in the right room shooting eyes which one they need to shoot. The player in the right room will then tell me which one to shoot. Once you run into the room, you need to be standing in the light that is emitted from the Hydra's shield. This will allow you to both see what eye that the right room needs to shoot, and allow you to shoot whatever eye is called out from the opposite side. This snapshot will show what I'm looking at when I first enter the room and enter the light. As we can see, the top right eye is lit up. I will then call out to my teammate on the right side, top right. From there, my teammate on the right side will tell me what eyes to shoot. The callouts we use are top mid, top left, top right, bottom left, bottom mid, and bottom right. Once about 4 eyes are destroyed off the left and the right shield, this message will show up in the bottom left corner, stating Epoptes judges parameters exceed and prompts function collapse. This will start the next phase of the fight, being the ball phase. Back at the start of the encounter guide, I mentioned that we will have 2 people on ball team. We will now talk about what they will be doing. For the purposes of this section, I will slow down so you can clearly see what is happening. So, at this point, when balls have been called, I run to the plate. Make sure that all Cyclopses are killed before this in order to step on the plate and get the buff immediately. This is a wipe mechanic. If you do not do this in the right amount of time, you will wipe. Once the plate is ready, both players on the balls team will stand at their plates, getting the buff. Run into the shield in the middle where you can see the light, just like the left and right rooms. Looking on the right pillar over there, you will see 2 lights. On the right pillar, you will see 2 eyes light up in a triangle fashion. Call out the one that does not light up. This information will be used to your teammate in either the left or right room. Since this footage shows that I'm on the left side, I'm calling out what ball the person on the left side will shoot. Inside the room with the Hydra, during this time, a triangle will appear above the boss. You can barely see it there, but you'll see it better in a minute. Once the player outside on ball's team calls out what side I need to shoot, I will shoot that side and only that side. From there, my job on the inside is done. You also must be standing inside the light in order to shoot the ball. As you can see there, I just shot the right ball because right was called out to me in this run. However, outside we're not quite done. Both players on ball's team will call out what side they need to shoot as normal. What then must happen is you will follow your light until you can see the opposite side of the pillar that you called out. So for example, I called out the left side, I will then go to the right side. I will then shoot whatever eyes on the pillar that were not called out on the right side. This is another step to stop the wipe mechanic. In this clip here, you can see I shot the middle and left eyes. That means that right was called on the right side, and I shot the ones that were essentially lit up for the other player calling out the balls. When this is done correctly, you will see a message pop up in the bottom left again, saying function collapse suppressed. After this, both players on the inside must run back outside and rebuff using the plate. They will then continue breaking the eyes on the shield as normal from there. Even though I died in this clip, you can clearly see I'm running back outside to rebuff with my teammate on the right side. We will then go back in and call out the rest of the eyes that need to be shot on the shield. Once all eyes on the shield are shot and just the middle eye remains, shoot the middle eye to break it. You will then get a message saying you see clearly. As you can see here, I shot the middle eye and I see through a lens clearly. Running back into the middle again, you can see the light in the middle shield. You can now break it. This now starts the DPS phase. We now normally like to stand kind of by the pillar where the balls team call out the eyes, but we cannot damage the boss until 2 people do something. Like before, a message will appear in the bottom left corner. The boss will call up 2 players. In this example, it is Spectre and Nikki. What these 2 players must do is run to the shield on the side that is lit up for them. They will then stand in the shield light until eyes can be broken on that shield. Standing in the light allows the rest of the team to deal damage. Breaking all eyes on a shield stops the boss from ending the DPS phase early. We're using Outbreak in this clip. I highly recommend it because it one-shots the eyes on the shield and it absolutely melts the boss. If you don't kill him in one phase, which may be kind of hard for non-experienced players, repeat the entire process again from the start of the encounter and go from there. You can do it. I'm pretty sure you can do it. Once you get your loot, run back out the door you came in. Since this is a non-linear raid, we will have to go back to the middle island to choose the next encounter. Simply go in the jumping puzzle in reverse, get back to the center island into the purple pillar, and then we can pick our next encounter. Once you are back atop the pillar, we will be picking the Hobgoblin boss next. This is the one that is straight back from the diagram I showed before. Simply follow the path forward and this will take you to the Hobgoblin boss. There's no real tricks to this jumping puzzle going there, so just follow the yellow path and you can get there just fine. Again, I just want to make sure you guys are aware that you do not need to pick the same order encounters that I'm showing in this video. You can skip around to the next encounter that you are personally doing if you want. But in regards to traversal to the Hobgoblin boss, simply just do what I said before and follow the yellow path here. The door's right there. You can stop to kill the ads if you want, like we are here. Mind you, this is a day 1 video, but we are also running just straight ahead on the yellow platform to get to the next encounter. Once entering the room, you will notice it looks quite different. We will now explain the Hobgoblin encounter. The main mechanic for this encounter is to charge up the 5 rings in the middle, or colliders. We will give each collider a number. This will be important for later. I like to number them accordingly because it makes it easier for a later part of the encounter. We will number them as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. That's amazing. I've got the same combination on my luggage.
Yes, I believe this will be the easiest way to remember what collider is what by assigning them each a number 1 through 5. Like I said, this will become important later. The start of the encounter, nothing too crazy really happens. You just run into the middle and make sure you kill all the ads. After you kill the first wave of ads that spawn all across the arena, a Hydra will spawn. After destroying the Hydra, Minotaurs will spawn. Minotaurs will be named Time's Burden. This relates to the drop that they will have once you kill them, called the Chronons. What you need to do is you need to kill a Minotaur, pick up a Chronon, and run it through one of the 5 colliders. This just starts the beginning part of the encounter. You'll know if a collider is charged based on the blue ring in the middle glowing. You can see right there's an electric charge in the middle of the collider. That means it is charged. Once all 5 colliders are charged, 3 Wyverns will spawn across the arena. Be sure to destroy them. This is where you'll want to keep in mind the teams for the next part of the encounter. Will be split into two teams of 3. One team will stand on the plates much like the Hydra encounter. As you can see now, there are 3 plates. They only give the buff once one person is standing on each plate simultaneously. Each plate will give a different buff. There is cyclical temporality, absolute temporality, and constant temporality. These will become important later. The other 3 people on your team will be killing ads and Hydras and collecting Chronons during this point. The Chronons will be important for the next part of the encounter. You'll notice there are 3 clones of the Hobgoblin around the arena. You'll notice there are 3 clones of the Hobgoblin around the arena. This is what the plates team need to communicate about. What you're looking for is the person with the corresponding buff to the boss's name. This will start the next part of the fight, called the alignment phase. You'll notice in this snapshot, the clone that is shining the laser is named Agraios, made constant. What this means is the person with the constant temporality buff must run underneath the plate where the boss is shining the laser. There will be a Vex node similar to where you dunk the motes in the Garden of Salvation raid during the final boss. Interact with that to get the align buff. The align buff will show above your HUD on the bottom left of the screen. The other 2 people on Plate's team will then look at all 5 colliders and look at which ones have a blue outline. In this footage here, you can see when I run, number 1 and number 2 have a blue line through the middle of the collider, and they don't look like they're overheating like the other 3 colliders. Take note of these 2 colliders. Your other teammate with the other buff that does not do an alignment will take note of the 2 other colliders, meaning 4 in total. In this footage, we had 1, 2, 4, and 5. At this point, what needs to happen is the team that was not on plates and killing ads needs to gather Chronons from the Minotaur. They will then run through the colliders that you called out, essentially charging them. Once all 4 colliders that were called out are charged, the person with the align buff will run through all 5 colliders. When the player grabbing alignment is almost complete with aligning the colliders, they will call out to the rest of their team to go bait out the variable elimination. As you can see here, we are purposely standing in the laser with the countdown on the top. The player who had the align buff, once run through all 5 colliders, will have a new grenade ability. This will spawn a detain bubble, which will protect you from the variable elimination shots that are shot from the boss. It essentially works as a reflect spell from Kingdom Hearts. He'll shoot the bubble and it will reflect back out to him and destroy the clone. This will start the DPS phase for this encounter. The boss can sometimes take a minute to come down for DPS, so it'd be a good idea to clear out any remaining adds, including a Hydra that may or may not be there on your run. The boss will always spawn in the middle on the pillar, similar to where the Hydra was, but close to our side, since we reflected to him on the left side of the pillar. For damage, I recommend a lot of Thundercrash Titans, 1 player on Tractor, and Thunderlord or Outbreak. This footage does not show Outbreak because we didn't know about it yet, and also was disabled, but it does really good work on the boss's health. Not too long into DPS, everybody will receive a buff called Alignment Charge on the bottom left of your screen, as you can see. The boss will then teleport up to one of the plates. During this, 1 player should always run through the 5 colliders, getting the grenade buff, so then you can reflect the shot back to the boss. This will then extend the DPS phase. Sometimes it can be a little buggy, sometimes you'll reflect it and he won't come back down. In this, as I said, this could just be us not doing something correctly. However, in this footage here, it did take us 3 phases to kill him on day 1. Similarly to the Hydra boss, successfully reflecting another shot will extend the DPS phase. He will come back down to the middle a maximum of 3 times, including the time that he starts DPS. This means that you can do the alignment charge 2 times during DPS. Again, I highly recommend Thunderlord, 1 player on Tractor Cannon, or even Outbreak. I believe when we were doing Outbreak, we almost 1-phased him on a 4-feat challenge. That's not a promise that you'll always 1-phase him every single time, but you can get pretty close. If you don't manage to 1-phase him, however, simply follow the same steps that you did at the beginning of the encounter, where charging all 5 colliders, killing the Wyverns, and then splitting into your 2 teams of 3. Those being your Ad Clear and Chronon teams, and the plate teams. You don't need to do anything crazy like swapping the players on plates or any of that stuff. You can do it exactly the same way. The only difference is you might be able to get the first step done even faster because there might be some Minotaurs spawned after you kill the Hydra right before the DPS phase. This one I believe is a little bit more complicated than the Hydra because there's a lot more setup to this one. But once you get it, it's actually really easy. Once you're all done, grab your loot, run back out the way you came in, head back to the center island, and next we will complete the final of the 3 chosen encounters, the Wyvern. Just like the previous 2 encounters, follow where the balls point to the tower, and then complete the jumping puzzle. Follow the yellow path, and then you'll see a bunch of small platforms. You'll need to jump from platform to platform in order to get to the encounter. At one point in the jumping puzzle, you'll see these yellow flowers. Just simply shoot them to open them, and then you can jump on them. When you enter the encounter, you will see a ring with a color kind of dripping off the sides of it, and 3 pillars with 3 diamonds in them. This is the main mechanic for the encounter. We will be splitting into 3 teams for this encounter, but for now, I will show you exactly what you need to do at the start of the encounter. Run down to the middle plate where the boss currently is. Try to stay alive and hide behind the pillars. 6 Minotaurs will spawn, similar to how they did in the Hobgoblin encounter. They will drop a Chronon. The color of the Chronon does not matter. It will always match the color of the ring. Simply pick it up, run through the ring, and then it will deposit. This will fill up an hourglass at the bottom of the ring. Once the hourglass is full with 6 chronons, the next part of the encounter will begin, where we will be splitting into teams. 3 people will take one of the pillars, which now have boxes instead of diamonds. The people on the pillars team will be creating platforms for the one person to jump up and grab things that will allow DPS to start. The color of the ring, and therefore the color of the chronons, tell the jumper where DPS is going to start and what platforms they need to jump up. In the clip here, the ring was colored red, so I will be going to this plate down at the bottom from the start, and this is the red plate. The blue plate will be where the boss is, in the middle, back where you kill the first initial set of Minotaurs. The white plate will be where you spawn. This will be important because, like I said before, the color of the ring corresponds to where the jumper will jump up the platforms, and this is the plate where DPS will begin. With that out of the way, let's get into what the pillar team will be doing. Once all 6 chronons are deposited into the hourglass, a Vex diamond will show underneath it. You need to break this in order to start the next part of the encounter, for the pillars team. Once broken, every single person will receive a buff at the top of the screen called diastole. This buff charges up similar to Defibrillator and bounces you on the 4th charge. As soon as I shoot the diamond here, you'll notice I get the diastole buff. It is charging 1, 2, 3, 4. What the pillar team needs to do is on the 4th timing, you need to shoot the bottom box, which will spawn the bottom set of platforms for the jumper. There will be 3 platforms in each set of plates, and activate the Vex node on that plate. There will be 3 sets of these. I recommend that the jumper use the new Rocket Pulse rifle as it kills the Imp Swarmers pretty quickly. Once the jumper notifies that they've activated the node, the pillars team will shoot the middle box on the 4th beat, similar to the first one. This will spawn the next set of platforms that the jumper needs to progress through. Activate the next node. Also, it is important to note that once you activate the next set of platforms, the previous set of platforms will disappear, so be wary of that. Once the jumper says they are ready, shoot the 3rd and topmost box if you're on the pillar team. The 3rd set of platforms will then spawn for the jumper, and they will jump up and activate the final node. Once these platforms are active, everybody should head towards DPS. The 2 people who are not on Pillar's team or the jumping team will be killing Minotaurs and collecting chronons and depositing them through the hourglass to keep the timer and the diastole buff up. If you do not keep this buff active, a debuff called Neo Mutation, which gives a 10-second countdown, it will kill you if you do not deposit another chronon. And that's all the mechanics for this encounter. Pretty simple overall. I recommend Legend of Agraios, Grand Overture, or even that new Titan build with Wishful Ignorance and Fletched Storm. Really melts this boss, and I highly recommend it if you're doing the 2-phase challenge. And like I said before, I really do believe that this is the easiest of the 3 choosable encounters. It definitely has the simplest of mechanics. Again, DPS will always start at the plate where the jumper is jumping on the platforms initially. So since that one was red, they would start at the bottom plate, blue is the middle plate where the boss spawns, and white is the spawn plate near where you rally. The only real annoying part to this encounter is that the boss will be running away from you significantly up the platform during this encounter. Stunning attacks such as the Fletched Storm build kind of keep him in place and make him really meltable, and like I said, I really do recommend using that before it gets nerfed. Another word of warning to both the Pillar team and the Minotaur team is that the boss likes to move around the entire arena. Be wary of this because he can melt you pretty fast since he's a Wyvern, the most annoying enemy in the game. So just be wary of this. You don't need to stand in one place to activate your pillar, you can do it from anywhere in the arena. For the jumper, the only word of warning I can really say is watch out for the harpies. They will try to shoot you while you're jumping up the platform. And it's as simple as that. After the DPS phase ends, simply wait till it's safe to go back to the middle platform, kill 6 Minotaurs, deposit 6 chronons into the hourglass, and then have the jumper and the pillars teams be ready. Note, the color will change. I've never seen the color of the plate be the same phase after phase, so it probably will change on your run. But just remember that red is the bottom plate, blue is the middle plate where the boss initially spawns on, and white is the plate next to the rally point. After that, simply run back out the way you came, just like the last 2 encounters, and we will start the final encounter. Once you are back at the purple pillar, a new node will be activated and a spot to rally at the banner will appear. There will be a Vex node in the middle of the arena on the bottom. Interact with it. The first time you interact with it, you'll get some dialogue from Maya Sundaresh and Chioma Essie, but every time you activate it afterwards, you will not get this dialogue. I should specify during the specific run of the raid. The third encounter will consist of multiple teams, and I will explain them as we go along. There will be 3 plates on the opposite side of where you spawn into the arena. One on the left, one in the middle, and one on the right. Similar to the Hobgoblin boss, this will give you one of 3 different buffs. The left buff will give you the left plate will give you the constant temporality buff. The middle will give you absolute temporality. And the right plate will give you cyclical temporality. Each different buff allows that person to do something different during the encounter. But first, make sure you kill all 3 Hydras to activate all the plates. Watch out for the boss's laser attack. It hurts really bad, and it will follow you if you get hit by it. The people who will get the buff on the left plate there will be 3 people getting the buff on the left plate. 2 people will get the buff on the right plate. And finally, 1 person will get the absolute buff in the middle plate. Both sets of people on the left and right should be ready before the person in the middle steps on their plate. Like the last encounters, all 3 plates must be active simultaneously. This is where we get kind of split up now. 2 people who got the buff on the left plate will be shooting the turrets on the boss. This will stop the laser attack and create pools for a new buff called Temporal Oculus for 3 others to do the middle mechanic. The middle mechanic is similar to the Wyvern encounter where you're charging up the hourglass. There will be sets of chronons that you will need to dunk into the middle. The person with the absolute buff and Temporal Oculus buff will be able to see the color of the ring in the middle. They will then call out the color to the person with the constant buff, who can see the different mines floating around with different colors. The person who is looking for the colored mines, the constant buff person, will shoot a mine just like you saw it there. It is then the job of the person with the cyclical buff to let them know if that one is glowing. These ones contain the chronons. You can dunk 2 chronons of the same color within 5 seconds of each other. As you saw there, me and my teammate coordinated with each other when we were going to jump through the ring. This is because if we waited too long, it would kill us and the color would change after 1 chronon had been dunked into the hourglass. This rotation will be done 3 times until 6 chronons have been dunked into the hourglass. In the footage, the other person dunking the chronons with me was the other person who was standing on the plate on the right, who obtained the cyclical buff. Only 1 person needs to really do the mechanics in the middle with the mines, but 2 people need to dunk the chronons. It's also important to note that if you leave a chronon on the ground too long, then they will despawn, so be sure to make quick with it and coordinate which one you will be grabbing with your teammate. The person with the absolute buff is the only person who can destroy a mine, so if you don't have that buff, don't worry about shooting it. If you have the cyclical buff, and the person with the constant buff is shooting a mine that is not glowing, tell them not to shoot it. You only need to shoot the ones that are glowing, because if you shoot the wrong one, then it will reset the color and take away a chronon that is in the hourglass. Once 6 chronons have been deposited, a diamond will appear up below the hourglass, just like the Wyvern encounter. Shoot it to start the DPS phase. Climb up the platforms as you see here, on top of the boss. Once you are on top of the boss, you will see Vex nodes around the arena. It's a little desynced now, but it should fall around the turrets that are on the boss. The person with the absolute buff can see 3 Vex nodes. The other 2 players with the cyclical and constant buffs can only see 2. Only one of these is the correct one. What you're going to want to do is have the person with the cyclical and the person with the constant buff stand where they cannot see a Vex node. This will then eliminate down the choices for the absolute player to grab to just 1. As you can see here, the absolute player is standing in the middle of the triangle since it's desynced, and this is not how it should look normally. And he is grabbing the Vex node that we are not standing next to. There is no Vex node where I'm standing, and where Spectre is standing, there is no Vex node on his screen. Once you successfully grab 4 Vex nodes, DPS will start. Again, Outbreak is really great here, as well as Thunder Crashing Titans, and Tractor Cannon is a must, especially if you're going for the 2-phase challenge. Watch out for the lasers as they circle the arena, and just like down below, they hurt a lot. Periodically, you will see a ring pop up with a different color. Anybody can see these, and anybody can grab a Chronon. It's not exclusive to like it was below, so be on the lookout for that. If you do not successfully deposit a Chronon with the right color into the ring, you will then end your DPS phase early. You can do it up to 3 times to extend your DPS phase. So looking here, the ring is blue. Spectre had grabbed a blue Chronon and ran it through, and this extends the DPS phase, not cutting it short. Having at least one Warlock with a well is essential for survival here, in my opinion. It won't guarantee safety from the laser, but it helps a lot, especially when you have a lot of Titans out there trying to get their damage through Thunder Crash. Once the DPS phase ends, you will jump back down and complete all steps as previously specified. Note the boss's health bar. He does have a final stand mechanic. So if you're not using Outbreak and you are using Thunderlord or any other gun that will use any type of ammo, it might be wise to save some ammo or even damage supers for the final stand phase if you're taking up 3 phases to take its health. But just like that, after damage, you will do all steps that I previously said. You'll kill the Hydras, stand on all 3 plates, deposit the Chronons, and then jump up for DPS, selecting the correct one of the triangles, and then you can DPS, and then make sure that you deposit the correct Chronon into the correct color ring to extend the DPS phase. The final stand health check can be particularly rough if you're not prepared for it, so just make sure you save all your damage supers or any heavy ammo that you're possibly using for that phase. Once you defeat the boss, jump off. If you are on there when he blows up, you will die and you will wipe. Make sure that you are off the boss and you run away from the boss before the timer above ends. And just like that, you have completed the Desert Perpetual Raid. I hope you guys enjoyed. I really enjoyed making this video and I want to make more like it. Please let me know whatever feedback you want down below in the comments. This is my first time making kind of a guide video like this, and I do want to make more, like I said. I will be making a video on the encounter challenges and feats separately after this, but for now, I just wanted to make a video exclusively talking about all 4 encounters and how to complete them. But with that being said, guys, happy raiding, good luck, and I hope this guide helped you.